Starcasting to you from the City of Angels. Hello everyone, I'm Kiris. Thank you so much for being here and listening to the Voice of Astrology podcast. This is your astrology cosmic superpower for the week beginning Sunday, September 1st through Saturday, September 7th, 2024. Let's journey together with astrology and explore how to connect with the stars, the planets, the energies for our new week ahead. As we move through the first week of September, the sensational September night sky has, on September 1st, the thin waning crescent moon, and the moon is very close to Mercury, the planet Mercury, the messenger, and also the bright star Procyon. Now look for them around 40 minutes if you're up this early, but you will be able to view this about 40 minutes before sunrise. At this time of year, we are now having what's called the zodiacal light. The zodiacal light, also known as the false dawn or the false dusk, is a hazy pyramid of light, which is actually the sunlight reflecting off dust grains. The best time to see this pyramid of light is at the time of the new moon and also the autumnal equinox coming up. You can view this now through early November. Around September 3rd, the time of the new moon, this is a perfect time for stargazing under dark skies. September 5th, we have the thin waxing crescent moon, and the moon will be between the planet Venus, the love planet, and a fixed star called Spica. This fixed star Spica is called the sweetest star of the heavens. Now the moon is going to occult Venus, which means to pass in front of Venus, and this is viewable around certain places on the globe. This week, the 7 original planets that you can view without aid of telescope or binoculars, just like the ancients did, or the OGs as I call them, are lined up as such. We've got the sun in mutable Earth Virgo, ruled by Mercury. We start off the week with the moon in fixed fire Leo. Mercury is also in fixed fire Leo. Venus, the Queen of Heaven, is so happy in the sign of Libra at home in her domicile, her castle. Mars is in Gemini, ruled by Mercury. Jupiter is in its detriment in the sign of Gemini, and also Saturn is retrograde, still in the sign of Pisces, ruled by Jupiter. Sunday, September 1st, we are in what's called the dark balsamic moon phase. We are right before the time of the new moon. Now, when we are in the dark balsamic, this is an inner time of reflection, contemplation. It's like you've run out of energy and it's time to renew, to rejuvenate, to not push things or try to force things. The energy simply is not there. Think of the moon as lining up with the sun to fill up with new power, to get energized, to prepare to be off and running on the new moon journey at the time of the new moon. Now today, we have major planetary shifts. We have the planet Uranus stationing retrograde. We also have Pluto, which has been retrograde, retrograding back into the sign of Capricorn. The outer generational planet Uranus hasn't been in the sign of Taurus, or the last time it was in Taurus was during the Great Depression years. Now we have had Uranus in the sign of Taurus, and it's stationing retrograde today. Generational planets are about how the whole collective generation moves and changes. The planet Pluto takes about 248 years-ish to go through all of the signs of the zodiac. This Pluto's entry into the sign of Capricorn took place in 2008. Before that, the last Pluto in Capricorn took place during the Declaration of Independence and the Revolutionary Wartime, the founding of the United States. Our country has been going through its Pluto return cycle since 2008. Every American is connected to the United States chart when the country was founded. It is our chart, and we've been going through the Pluto return. Now, this is the last retrograde into the sign of Pluto in Capricorn before Pluto moves forward and makes its entry into the sign of Aquarius, fixed air Aquarius. We've had a little bit of Pluto in Aquarius, its first introduction, but this is the final hurrah of Pluto in Capricorn, retrograding into Capricorn for about the next 248 years. Both of these generational planets, Uranus and Pluto, are in the element of Earth. Earth is work, it's discipline, it's patience. Earth in astrology is nature, it's common sense, it's down to earth, it's your body. Earth is the element of health. Earth is production. Earth is also the patience to practice. It's the discipline, the staying power of what it takes to master something. This is the element of Earth. And now we have two majors, Uranus and Pluto, in the element of Earth retrograde. The element of Earth is not lazy. Earth takes the time and patience to produce something of value. Earth, we could say, is the staying power, the fortitude and determination to decide, no matter what it takes, how long it takes, no matter how long I need to practice, to hang in there and keep doing the work until the job gets done and there is something made from that. Earth is what Earth represents. Earth overcomes lack of discipline, laziness, inertia. There are different stages of development in life and in astrology. And during the developmental stage of infancy to adulthood, if a child at the different appropriate stages and ages isn't disciplined to overcome the natural laziness, the natural inclination towards, well, if I don't have to do it, I won't do it. I have to be directed and disciplined to overcome my laziness and my inertia. Imagine for a moment that no one has to do anything and no one has to get up and discipline and practice and do anything. Well, there's no parent saying to the child, you have to get your homework done. There's no guidance or parent saying to the child, now it is time to learn how to walk, to tie your own shoes, to get dressed, to be potty trained, and on it goes. In other words, these retrograde planets back into the element of Earth is the discipline to find not only the work that you love and want to do, this is the element of Earth, but the discipline and the patience and the staying power of how necessary it is to do the work, all different kinds of work. If no one had to do or was required to do any kind of production work, the element of Earth, think about or imagine what could happen. The garbage wouldn't be picked up. The truckers wouldn't be delivering the food wouldn't be made. The farmers wouldn't farm, and on it goes. All because the lack of discipline and the inability, or we could say the unwillingness, to overcome our own inertia and laziness, things would not be produced and get done. So eventually, everything would be a mess. At the very least, nothing's getting done. No one feels like they have to do anything or discipline themselves to do anything. Now, this, of course, happens in stages, at appropriate ages and stages of development. In life, when something is in its infancy dependency stage and developing towards maturity, like a human being, and everything else in nature except a parasite, and everything else in nature, that is the stage of development in life and in astrology where it is appropriate for the infant to take from life. They simply don't have the resources, the ability, the discipline yet to do for themselves. Then, when we get to the stage of maturity, adulthood, everything in nature, like the bees that pollinate the plants, they give back to life. This is the natural way, that there's a certain time of taking from life, which is necessary during that time. But then there is also the natural, appropriate stage to contribute back, to give back to life. And that natural cycle repeats and repeats. So in a society, a world today, the generations today, with these outer generational planets, Uranus and Pluto, saying, reflecting on, showing, putting the spotlight on, where is your discipline? Where have you overcome your laziness, your inertia? What are you producing, Earth? What are you giving back to life that is of value? This is the natural order of things, and you are a part and connected to nature. If we did not do this, if we didn't have to do it, if we weren't required to do it, then nothing would be done, and that would be the end. So finding the work that you want to do, or if for the moment you have to do, is this Uranus and Pluto retrograde cycle that we are in. I love that these retrogrades are taking place during Virgo season, because one of the symbols of Virgo is the bee, the worker bee. And bees are symbolic of doing the impossible, because bees, with their fat little bodies, are not supposed to be able to fly. Yet they flap their wings so quickly that they take off and fly. They are symbolic of doing the impossible, accomplishing what you thought you could never do. Also, as you know, bees are necessary to the survival of this planet. We need them. And so if you think in your life, or if you reflect back on during this dark balsamic moon phase and the new moon in Virgo, what do you have of value inside of you that is necessary to the survival and contribution of this planet? Now, yes, maybe perhaps you have to work towards that, Earth, and it isn't going to happen overnight. You have to have patience, Earth. But what is it inside of you that you feel and know that you've got something to give back to life, to the planet, to nature, that is necessary? What is it that you think, gee, for me that would be doing the impossible, just like the worker bee that isn't supposed to be able to fly, but it does. Now let's say you said, well, that's all nice, but we have AI, we have robots now. We don't have to do anything. We're not going to have to do anything and overcome laziness and inertia. I would argue that point and say, well, Earth is also your body and your health. And yes, for your health, you have to work your body. If you didn't move, if you didn't exercise or take a walk, the fluids won't flow, the air won't flow, the body will not work. It's fair to say that your health, our health, is very dependent on working the body, moving the body, overcoming our own laziness and tendency to think, well, if I don't have to do it, I won't do it. It's that necessary. It's that close to the bone. Your very health is a part of this Uranus and Pluto retrograde in the element of Earth. Your nature, your body is dependent on overcoming the inclination to just not do or produce anything. Even if, for instance, you had all the money in the world and you didn't have to do anything, we could ask the question, is it natural to not contribute anything back to life, to not give anything back, to not produce anything to give back to life? The last time Uranus was in the sign of Taurus during the Great Depression years, when production stopped and people were starving, standing in bread lines and giving up their children because they couldn't afford to feed them and take care of them, there were still innovative souls that produced and became rich. As we look back over the past 16 years, when Pluto did go into Capricorn, and we've been in the country's Pluto return, what have we been producing? And also, what will we produce as a work, as a discipline, as a way of contributing and giving something back to life that is of value? Find that, do it, and of course, the element of Earth gives you the patience and practice to stay the course and do that. To not work simply does not and will never work. To go back to the little bees for a moment, imagine the bees saying, nah, don't feel like it today, not going to do it. Or anything else in nature, deciding, no, I'm not going to work. Life would implode in and on itself, and we would destroy ourselves, everything in nature, and this planet. Monday, the Moon's Day, September 2nd. Happy Labor Day, everyone. We've got the new moon at 11 degrees Virgo. Now, 11 degrees Virgo brings in a Capricorn influence to this new moon. So the Capricorn influence is the ambition to be the best of the best. I always call Capricorn the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Now, Capricorn is very strategic in how it is going to go and get to the top of the mountain no matter what. They plan and they strategize step by step. They're very cautious about every move they make as they are moving towards the top of their career ambitions and the top of the mountain. So the new moon is the time to take action, and it's in the sign of Virgo, which is about getting to work and doing the work. It's the second decade or division of Virgo, which brings in that Capricornian influence, which is how are you going to act and strategize until you get to the top and become the greatest, the GOAT, the greatest of all time in your chosen field and ambitions. We've got a Mars square Neptune aspect on this day, so get very clear. Write it down, journal it if you have to. But with Mars Neptune, get very clear about the actions that you plan on taking. The Neptune squaring off with Mars can be emotional. It can be somewhat confused and waffling about what is the right, clear action to take. Figure this out. Take your time about what is the action with Mars in achieving the new moon in Virgo goal that you have. Tuesday, September 3rd, be prepared and ready to just roll with the changes, because on this day we've got the moon in Virgo making an opposition to Saturn retrograde in Pisces. The moon in Virgo also makes a square to Jupiter in its detriment in the sign of Gemini. So this T-square, we could say, with the moon making the opposition and the square, and they're in mutable signs of the zodiac. meaning things are shifting and changing. Whatever it is on this day, just be ready. It's a mindset that plans might not work out. People might back out of plans. Scheduling, things like that will change, and just roll with it. Just go with it. The ability to go with the changes and make the adaptations, that's a whole new moon in Virgo, earth discipline in and of itself, to remain calm and cool when you assume something is set, and then the scheduling and the plans do change. Wednesday, September 4th, we now have Mercury leaving its shadow, its storm cycle. Mercury has already moved direct, but now Mercury is moving fully up to speed. Also today, we have Mars falling into the sign of Cancer. Mars being the outgoing masculine energy of getting things done. When Mars falls into Cancer, this is when the sensitivities, the emotions, the intuition heightens. Always trust your intuition, of course, but with Mars in the sign of Cancer, which is ruled by the moon, if and when you get a feeling, I shouldn't do this, Mars, I shouldn't take this action, Mars. The Mars in its fall sign of Cancer is the opposite of Mars exalted in Capricorn. Mars exalted in Capricorn is the control freak. This is how, when, where it's going to be done. Mars in its fall, the opposite is I'm going to feel this out, trust the intuition, and be willing to fluctuate with the changes, just like the moon fluctuates and changes signs every 2.5 days. So it's not about not accomplishing the goal. It's getting the job done and accomplishing whatever your goal is. But it's also bringing in that I've got to feel out the situation in the moment and be willing to go with the intuitive fluctuations. Mars in a moon sign Cancer, what those changes may feel like. Cancer is I feel. It's all about not only the caring, but what Cancer intuitively feels, emotional intelligence. It's not as fast as a Mars exalted in Capricorn, let's say. It's feeling it out before you take the action. This will help you so much if you're aware of the Mars in the sign of Cancer that we are now entering. Thursday, September 5th, we get to see the moon in Libra making a conjunction to Venus at home in Libra. About 2.5 days after the new moon, the light of the new crescent moon begins to shine. And the new crescent moon, or the baby moon, as I call the new moon, is conjunct Venus. Look for this at twilight into the night sky, because to see Venus and the moon together in such a romantic sign, Libra, this is all about the love and the romance and starting something new. If you're already in a relationship, if you're not in a relationship, to begin something new as far as finding the right person for you. It's just always a beautiful thing, no matter what sign of the zodiac, to see the new crescent moon next to Venus, because Venus is our sister planet. She shines in the night sky. You just can't miss her. She's there. Venus and Jupiter are the two planets that tend to shine so brightly, but Venus with the crescent moon, it's just such a lovely, enchanting sight to see. Friday, Venus's day, September 6th, we have the moon still in Libra, making a sextile aspect of opportunity to Mercury in Leo. Now, this is just so smooth. It's not only love, romantic talk, but it is also conversation where you could be negotiating a really beautiful deal, where you could be using diplomacy and peacemaking bringing harmony to a situation. This could be friends, family. It can be reaching out to someone and saying, let's talk about this. Let's bury the hatchet and make peace and harmony. Libra is about all kinds of relationships, not just the primary marriage love relationship. So with this very sweet aspect of the moon sextile Mercury in Leo, which is the heart, and Mercury is now direct and fully up to speed, bringing and making harmony and peace in all of the different relationships. Maybe it's a work situation, but relationships and people cooperating at its best with Venus and the moon in Libra. This is a superb aspect for doing that. If you've been wanting to reach out to someone and say, let's talk, let's make friends. Life is just too precious and beautiful of a gift to be wasting time not having fun together. That's also Libra and Venus, the enjoyments and happiness of life. And when we share it with the people that we do love, it just makes it so much richer and beautiful. Saturday, September 7th, it's Saturn's Day. Real interesting aspect here. We've got the moon now in its fall in the sign of Scorpio, making a water trine flow to Mars in its fall in the sign of Cancer. Now, Scorpio is ruled by the planet Mars, and Mars is in its fall in Cancer, home, family, and motherhood. So this moon trine Mars in water, tying into home, family, and mom. A trine is a flow. It can make things easy. It's an ease aspect of taking care of your mother issues. Let's say you had the most fabulous mom on the planet, and moms are saints, all great parents are. This aspect today is whether you had a fabulous mom or for whatever reason you did not. The moon trine Mars is the awareness that at a certain point in life, taking the action of being the best mom, parent to ourselves. In other words, self-care. What kind of a parent, what kind of a nurturing mom are you to yourself? If we don't take care of ourselves, we simply don't have it to give back. And when we don't take care of ourselves, or as I call it, the inner parent taking care of ourselves, then the moon trine Mars in the element of water can be irrational fears, anxieties, low energy. It can certainly affect health and well-being. So the moon trine Mars in water is the action, the new moon action, and also the awareness and intuition that at some point we have to learn how to be a great parent, a great mom to ourselves, emotionally, psychologically, physically. But this is the element of water, moon in Scorpio, Mars in Cancer, which is feelings, emotion. So how do you parent yourself, or mom yourself, we could say, as far as getting a gauge on how you're feeling, the importance of happiness, positive feelings, the importance of just feeling good emotionally. Now, the whole mind, body, and soul, of course, is equally important. But this moon trine Mars highlights for us so strongly and powerfully, be good to yourself emotionally. If that means you walk away from something or someone, a job that makes you miserable, a situation where you're not happy, just like the ultimate mom that does everything possible to make the baby happy, to care for the inner child, which is you. You're the mom and you're the inner child, both at the same time. Now, the moon in Scorpio, Mars in Cancer. What does Mars do? Mars cuts things away, that need to go. It's necessary so that life can grow and flourish and move on. So emotionally, most importantly, emotionally, with this aspect, whatever situation it may be, where I now have the responsibility to care for my inner child. And if it is something, even if it's myself, my own negative thoughts, my own addiction to the negative emotions, Saturn retrograde in Pisces, even if it's my own addiction to negative emotions, then the cutting away, Mars in its fall in Cancer, of where I am not being a great parent to myself and making it a discipline. New moon in Virgo, Earth, Uranus, and Pluto and Earth signs. I've got to have the patience and the fortitude and discipline to overcome and practice the feel-good emotions. One of the most effective ways of being a great parent to your inner child. So this is how we are closing out the week with this moon trine Mars. And what are the emotions that are healthy, are productive, do excite us to get things done? What are the emotions that dishearten us, deflate us, depress us? The emotions that say, what's the use? Why even bother? I'm not happy about it. So this aspect here is not a tiny little aspect. It's a huge new moon aspect to be such a beautiful parent to your inner child emotionally, along with all of the other things, mind, psychologically, physically, but the emotion because of the element of water. In other words, be so good and kind to yourself. Take care of yourself like the ultimate mom would do for you. Thank you, everyone. Have a fabulous week. I will see you all in the stars.